trying it, but now we've got to get this together in a place that our whole organization. So the gap is skill, not software. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So for us, for this 20 minutes, what literacy actually means and the way we should be looking at it as dealership people, dealership vendor people is let's start thinking about AI to solve real problems instead of just asking it for things. Prompting that improves sales and service, but not just sales and service, but prompting that improves your accounting, prompting that improves parts, like all the different departments and all the different aspects of your business and the vendors too, the different aspects of your business. Prompting that improves those things. I'm a big geek on productivity. Some of you that have sat with me, like Tabs, Sue St. Marie and Abby, California, like they know I'm a productivity like geek. Like all I want to do is like take things and reduce time for laborious tasks so I have more time to exert my subject matter expertise onto things and make those things better. So it's not having AI do everything. So when I say prompting that improves sales and service, I'm challenged by dealer principals all the time with the age-old commentary of how is this going to increase my revenue? And as long as we can get out of just thinking about the one-to-one transaction of selling a car or putting something up on a hoist, you can actually look at this holistically, bigger and badder and broader, because it's going to give you more time with your people. Their skill sets are going to get better. And then lastly, we're going to look at just choosing tools without wasting time. There's a few things I'm going to tackle there, but we're going to keep moving. The first thing I want you to do when you start thinking about your literacy, though, is I want you to stop asking AI for stuff and start using it to think. I preach small win mentalities, small win strategies. Work small, but stop asking it for stuff. I have this term, and I'm going to get to it, but we ask it. We've been conditioned with the onset of these tools that they're magic, and they're going to come back with all these answers. And it blows our mind when we put in the smallest prompt or the smallest ask of, give me something about this, help me pare down this recipe, help me plan this trip, and AI comes back with all this brilliant stuff. But it's because of the way it's built. See, AI is filled with thousands and thousands and millions and billions of pieces of information, example studies, you name it, like they are stuffed and crammed full of all these things. So that when it's released and you're using your chat GPT, the LLM is actually built to remember and predict. So when you're talking to it, it's remembering what you're talking about and then using those memories to then predict. It's not learning anything more in the grand sense when you're using your Gemini or your ChatGPT or your Copilot. It's just remembering and going through everything you talk about and then predicting. So if you're just asking AI for stuff, you're thinking about the output first. And unfortunately, the speed at which it can answer is the thing that sort of fucked us all up, right? Like it kind of backed up the whole thing because it gave us quick answers and we're not thinking anymore. We're not like kind of putting our business and our subject matter expertise into what we're actually looking for. So start using it to think. Your small win strategy is clear problems come first, like figuring out what that problem is. What do you want to do with it? And it's almost like old school, like, get into your notebook and write down those steps of what those things are. What's the problem? What comes first? Because better thinking will always lead to better results, better outputs, better builds, no matter what you're using with it. So in terms of that, just stop new Googling, right? This is what I call it, because if you're typing in one line of crap into your LLM, you're new Googling. You're not doing anything different than you did before. All you're doing is getting an answer back faster, but you're not disseminating what you need and what you want to build. In reality, and this is something I'm doing this afternoon in my live workshop, is there's exercises I do when I do in-person workshops where we ask vague questions. AI loves vague shit and it loves ambiguity because it'll go to town and give you, like on a 4-word, 5-word prompt, it'll give you thousands of words back. None of it is what you need, but it will deliver that to you because this is just the way it's built. It's built to give you something quickly. It's built to give you something fantastic, so you keep using it. But so just stop new Googling and start to think a little bit differently. So use it as a thinking partner and start thinking about different ways of using it. So when you're thinking about, and we're going to get into some prompt examples, some small ones on this, but when you're using this as a thinking partner, you're taking a different approach to it. You're diagnosing issues. There's all sorts of exploration through options, different outputs, different mind mapping, and just compositing that you can do. You can stress test ideas. You can challenge it. Like it loves being challenged. It loves being asked to think, but it needs a lot of context, and especially planning next actions. And I'll stop here and I'll start putting this. I'll put this into context for you. When you use this as a thinking partner, there's a lot that you need to put into it, and so you can diagnose these issues, explore your options, do all the stress testing, all this planning, but you have to treat this in the onset like a new employee, right? Even though it's so smart, we think it's so smart. It's not smarter than you, and it doesn't off the hop understand your business, right? It needs to be trained, like it needs to be filled full of information that's coming from you and your subject matter expertise so that it can continue to remember and predict about what it needs to do. You need to tell it what it is. You need to give it roles. You need to give it structure. You need to give it parameters. You need to give it examples, because the more you do that, then it can start doing all of these things like the exploring and the diagnosing, all of this good stuff. But you need to approach it and attack it with a little bit more context and a little bit more modularity if you dig. All right. Um, so where it can add value. So for you dealers in the room, I'm going to take you through some exercises just on better prompting, a little bit of framework, so a little bit of literacy, so you can actually see where it adds value, and it's not some stupid chat bot that a vendor is giving you to talk to a customer in real time. It's actually other things that are happening behind the scenes that your staff can use and make that and improve upon and evolve. And there's a couple of stories in here that I'll talk to about some of these different pieces, but again, there's all sorts of different ways that the profitability of the business, vendor or dealer, will go up if you start using this for productivity in a mindful and linear way in terms of your strategies. So, lead drop offs after first contact. Like, I'm just giving you some cases here. You can use it, let's say, for if I'm working with a dealership and these are the things they flag. We have inconsistent follow-up quality. We have objection handling and sales and service that could be better. How do we improve on that? We have inventory and offer positioning always, right? Product training, competitor analysis. There's all of these different things that are the small little tasks every day that you can use this stuff for that actually will make things better. For you, those of you who are marketers in the room, it's the same thing. Like that inventory and offer positioning. There's all sorts of different things that you can be doing, that not handing everything over, but using it in a context and in a manageable way that's going to be better for everybody. So let's jump into, like, I'm going to show you, I call them starter prompts. I usually call them shitty prompts, but I didn't know how much I could swear here. I didn't actually talk about that with Angie. So these shitty prompts are: our leads often stop responding after the first contact. Why might this be happening? There's so much missing from this. And if you can get an answer for this, and it's going to come back with this huge workflow. You can plug this into your Gemini or your Chat GPT right now, and it's going to give you a huge roadmap of how to fix this. But if you're doing it for your business, if we improve it, now all of a sudden we start, and I like frameworks, and there's a framework I use called RIPE: role, instruction, parameters, example. These are kind of bite sizes of that. My prompts can be hundreds of words long, thousands of words long, sometimes depending on what I'm plugging in. These are snapshots. These aren't my full prompts, but an improved prompt is: act as a dealership sales operation consultant. Okay, all of a sudden we've given it some context to go, oh, okay, I know where I am. Now I know what kind of leads. We're seeing strong lead volume, but many leads stop responding after the first call. Contacts usually happen 30 minutes. Most communication is email and phone. We sell both new and used cars. Look at all that context now. Now you're giving the LLM a lot more information. And then finally, the bolded part at the bottom is: help me diagnose possible reasons this drop-off happens and suggest areas to investigate before changing scripts. That last line is huge because you're asking it to diagnose and come back with suggestions, looking at different parts of this, because also what you may come back with is, it may come back with a first run based off this context, but it may also ask you, because of what you've given it, can you put in an example of what that, the stop responding after first call or email, like put up that first email. What does that first email look like? The things you can stuff into this all of a sudden makes this a lot bigger and a lot better. Okay. Let's hit another one. Here's another shitty one. Write a better follow-up message for a sales lead. Again, you will get War and Peace delivered to you by your LLM because again, there's no structure. It's one sentence. It's a one-shot prompt, and this doesn't always work, especially when you're in your business. So now let's go. Let's act as an experienced automotive sales manager. Here's a follow-up message my team currently uses. So right here, I would paste in a real example of what they send out. Now, the goal is to be helpful, confident without pressure. Audience includes first-time buyers, price-sensitive shoppers. Now, all of a sudden, we're adding personas as well. One of the things I see when I look at content that's been generated by dealerships, generated by vendors that are out there, you're not really plugging in a lot of your personas. You're not going, okay, who's your persona? Like the vendors, it's easy. General managers, dealer principals, service. I get it. But if you're a dealership, you have tons of personas. You have all kinds of different shoppers depending on how big your center is. You have all kinds. So if you start plugging in more personas, you're going to get way more granular in exactly what you want. So critique it, explain what's not working, provide two improved versions with different tones. Now you can take all of that information through your literacy and you can sit with that. So if my pal Tabs and Sue St. Marie is using something like this, she's going to smash this out. She's going to paste in some of the follow-up messages. And in 5 minutes, Tabitha is going to get a critique message, get these improved versions with different tones. And then Tabitha, with her sales managers or different people, they actually have more time to look at that together, maybe wordsmith it a little bit, rehumanize the work. But now they've got more time to put their subject matter expertise on that prompt and on the output instead of pushing this one around. Write a better follow up for a sales lead. Well, okay, can you write it for a car dealership? Can you write it for a Honda dealership? Can you write, like, you know what I mean? You're constantly talking to something when in one pass you can get out of the gates a lot smarter and a lot more locked in. All right, let's do another one. Here's one. Write a response to a customer who says no to a service recommendation. I love this one. I was at a dealership and we were just doing like builds of like what kind of things, what sort of productivity hacks, workflows can we build? And a young woman who was a service advisor is like, geez, Brent, I don't know. Like we get so much stuff in front of us in our system, in the terminal, in front of the customer, like all the recommended stuff, what to say, loosely, but it's kind of in front of us. I don't know what I'd use AI for. And then she realized that she didn't really have any true scripting around when a customer says no to a service recommendation. So during our workshop, she wrote out a playbook of different scripts based on different service recommendations. And I thought, brilliant, right? So here's what some of that stuff looked like. Act as a senior service advisor coach. Customers declined recommended brake pad replacement after a tire replacement. Here's what the advisor currently says. So if there's anything in their playbooks, if there's anything historical, you can punch that in. Customer's objection is, I'm here for tires today. Goal is to educate without pressure, critique the response, explain what's causing resistance, provide two versions, right? One should be direct and efficient. One should be more conversational and educational. So this is sort of a snapshot of what she was building that day. But now we were putting in all sorts of different, she and her service manager were putting in all sorts of different scenarios to build out a whole new playbook that could be shared amongst everyone and near them so they can have these things, look at them and work through them. All right, I'll give you one more. And I love this role playing, handling an objection. So role play, you can fill your chat GPT and have it work as a role playing coach. Act as a customer visiting service drive and as a service advisor coach. Set up a short role play. Customer's price sensitive. Advisor recommends brake service. Customer objects with concern about cost and urgency, right? So run the role play, 5 to 6 exchanges, switch roles, do the back and forth. Your LLM will come back with like, do you want these kind of scripts? Do you want this? Which it will provide you. But if you start to think about broader and bigger and badder ways instead of just help me write this email, help me write a vehicle description. Like there's so many different things for new employees or, just to dust off different things. And this could be used for sales. This could be used in the F&I office, like, and you, the vendors, you could use this with your CSMs. There's so much here that you can do. And in a study group I ran in the summer, one of my study group attendees basically built this, and they used ChatGPT's voice to do calling back and forth. So they even brought it so you could hear the exchange back and forth on the phone call. They filled it full of different scripting and stuff just to like get a training, get a score. So there's lots of different ways to do this, but there's ways to think about this, and there's ways to drop this at your ChatGPT or your Gemini, and it will actually help you build out the prompt you need in order to get a little further along. All right, let's keep moving. I wanted this fast, so I don't, because everyone's on their lunch or taking some time. Lastly, so we've talked about thinking about how to use it as a thinking partner. We've looked at ways that you can broaden your lazy prompts into bulletproof prompts just by adding more rules, more instructions, more parameters, more examples. Simple. But now more tools do not equal better results. You guys all know this. Every dealer knows this. The tool overload that creates friction. New software doesn't fix anything, and most teams underuse what they already have. And Angie, what was the data you were telling me about this just before we jumped on? How many platforms are in stores now?
Yes, I was. So I was just literally a recent CADA study actually found that some dealers are running up to 20 or more systems, often with, like you said, various overlapping functions, and maybe even a lot of them are outdated. Am I right?
Yeah. There you go. Thank you. So there's a better approach to doing this, and you can use your tools to help you kind of work through this or your team to work through this. I would do this in two phases. I'm going to give you phase one. So phase one is your own approach to choosing tools. The three questions you should be asking, and you can use AI to do this, and I'll show you some prompts around that. You always have to look, and these are obvious, right? Like nothing's new here. What problems do you need to solve at your business, right? Vendors too. Where does it fit into the workflow, right? Your workflow, your team's workflow. How's it going to fit? What's it going to affect? And does it remove effort or add steps, right? Because all of those shitty one-line prompts I just showed everybody, that's going to add steps, right? Lazy prompting adds actually more steps and more work. If you actually spend more time, it's going to remove effort. It's the same thinking when you're talking to your vendors and looking at what you need and why you need it. But before you even talk to a vendor, you want to make sure you answer these three questions. So if I go here, um, and one of the things about that is here's a lazy prompt. Tell me about Pace Company URL. Tell me about IBM.com, right? Like, okay, AI is going to tell you absolutely everything about IBM.com. It doesn't matter. It's kind of a really dumb prompt. So if you actually move into an improved prompt, I'm considering adding a new AI tool to my dealership from IBM. IBM. I don't want to pick on anyone. smedia.ca, right? I'm considering adding a new tool. Act as an operations advisor. Ask me key questions I should answer before deciding whether this tool is worth adopting or even taking the demo. You could actually extend that prompt out, but focus on workflow impact, training effort, and ROI. Now, all of a sudden, you've given it a little bit more to work on. You could even go as far to say you could do a broader vendor evaluation, and that's something actually at NADA coming up. I'm speaking on the Thursday, and one of the things that we're doing is we're going to actually show dealers how to build a really big, robust prompt to evaluate vendors who are claiming that their tools are powered by AI or proprietary AI, what questions to ask, what to get back, what red flags, the whole gamut. And then I'm going to show them at NADA how to build that into an agent. So they have a standalone tool. Anytime they have to take a new demo, they can go through their agent, they can plug in the URL, the different use cases they need it for, and it's going to come back with the report on the vendor, the questions to ask based on these little things. So now all of a sudden, you start to look at this, you start to look at the other prompts I've shown you, it's doing big work for all the little things we don't think about. How much time are we taking up doing a demo with a vendor that we want to research? And then most times we get so busy we don't research, and we may make a decision that costs us money and time. So you don't want to do that. Now you can use these tools to go away and do that work for you just by giving it different prompts for yourself for what you need to do, and then different prompts to go back and look at that tool. And if you're not coming to NADA, and those dealers in the room that want that evaluation prompt, I'll send it your way. It's very fair to my vendor friends too. It's just like if a vendor is going to come out and make a claim of something, good for them. But I'm going to make sure that my dealer friends on the other side of the table too actually also know the questions to ask, because in fairness to my sales friends out there on the vendor side, sometimes the people that are selling you the shit aren't using the tools maybe as much as some of your own staff. So let's just level the playing field and make sure that everyone's on the same page for what they're asking, what they're needing, and what they want to do. So this isn't about, who's got the best this or the best that. I just think there's a lot of upfront work about the exploration of what you need that you can get long before. So where am I at? Man, crushing it. So here's your plan. So remember these things: small win strategy. Think with AI before asking for output. Get rid of the new Googling thing out of your brain. Get rid of it altogether, because we all have shitty prompts in our accounts. We could all read them right now. We all have them. We all do it. Prompt with structure to improve performance. Sorry, everybody. I got fucking Invisalign this year. Like, I'm almost 60 years old, and why did I decide to get braces? Like, it boggles my mind, and I can't talk with these fucking things. So there you go. Hi,
You're doing
everybody.
great. You're
Back
doing great.
back to the webinar, and then just choose your tools based on workflow fit. That's your plan, right? Just think before output, prompt with structure, and then be mindful, but use the tools to actually help you work with and audit and evaluate vendor fit, and then pre-demo work. Okay, everybody, listen. Angie's going to send this out to you. There's a bunch of prompts there, but if you're interested, looking at how I go about teaching these things, I do virtual workshops, I do live workshops. That's the web QR code there. But LinkedIn, I post a lot of junk every day. I do weekly mini tutorials. I post other thought starters. I do a weekend, what's happening on the platforms every week, because these things update themselves. They're releasing stuff every single day, every week. Apple and Google announced yesterday, right? Apple's going to pull Gemini's AI into their products. Like, so every single week, these things are evolving and changing. Now, I know there's people out there. The last thing I'll say is, people always say, well, this, like other things, this AI stuff's going to be a fad and the bubble's going to burst. This shit's been around for decades. Don't forget that it's been around for decades, and technology evolves with or without us. It doesn't care about feelings. It doesn't care about things. People develop things, and once that technology gets rolling, it's going to roll. So use it one way or the other. But I highly recommend that if your dealership is looking at things, get together as groups in different departments, department by department, or as an organization, and move through it together. You will get better adoption and better workflows and better productivity if you do it that way. That's it, Angie. We can open it up to Q&A.
Yeah, for sure. We've got a few really good questions rolling in here, and I see someone typing as we speak. So let's get into it. I want to be cautious of everyone's time. Brent, you crushed it in 30 minutes or less. So good for
Good.
you with the
Like a
braces.
pizza.
Love it. So first question is, we've tried AI tools before and they just give us generic answers that our customers ignored. How is AI literacy different from just buying better software? I believe you did touch on this when I really liked when you said stop new Googling, right? Like,
Yeah.
what do you need and what do you actually want to build here?
Yeah. Can you read that question back one more time? Because I
Yeah.
will answer it slowly and not blow through it.
Yeah, of course. We've tried AI tools before, but they give us a generic answer. Our customers just ignore it. How is AI literacy different from just buying better software?
It's like you said, with the, we've generated stuff for customers. They're not reading it because you've probably gone in and said, we need an email. We need a follow-up email. We need this. We need that. Again, I will always say this: if you are working towards something, uh, use this framework: RIPE, role, instructions, parameters, and examples. So if you're writing something to a customer and you want to give it a role of, like, you are an automotive marketing copywriter, you specialize in product updates, like, you give it, what is it, like, you tell it what you do and make it that. Then you put your instructions. We need help in writing emails, because the emails we've been writing to customers have not been read. The persona of the customer personas we've been reaching out to are the following: you know, farmers, business people, university grads, single moms, like Catholic families with 16 kids. I don't know, like, whatever the persona is. It's just like you put those personas in, and then the parameters are, we would like your recos on best practice for parameters, but we tend to write our emails no longer than this. Please don't use emojis, different things. And then physically paste in examples of the stuff you've sent out that's not working and go, help us make this better. Give us your thoughts on outlines to improve this, make them more conversational, make them higher converting. Then you're going to see, but you actually have to spend time in the prompt writing them out. You just can't go, I need a fucking sales email, because you're going to get just so much crap back that's not going to do anything. You're going to get stuff that starts with, in the competitive world of automotive dealership emails and all that slop that it puts out. You need to train it like it's a new employee, like it's your new assistant. Give it everything that you know in your head and put it into those prompts. You're going to get stuff back.
Perfect. That was a really
I hope that
thorough,
helped.
that was a
But
very thorough
But
answer for
bug,
sure.
bug me after. Bug me after if I didn't answer it all, and I like on LinkedIn or something. I'll get there. And Adam, hold on. Act as a consultant who does presentations on topics for business to help them improve. Give me tips on how to speak clearly when I got Invisalign at 60 years old. I'm having trouble. You called me. I'm calling you. Shut up, Adam. All right. Next question.
Next question. My
Visited
team,
Toronto.
this one spreads across all industries. My team is already spread so thin. Does thinking with AI just add another time-consuming step to anyone's day-to-day? I think you kind of touched on this as well when you said think of it in a mindful and linear way.
Yeah. So your team is stretched thin. First exercise I would do with the team is go, okay, let's get together and let's put all the things that are time consuming, because I get it. Like, I was just working with a big dealer group here in the country back in December on a series of workshops, and everyone has like everything we do is this 30-day race, and it's 1,000 miles an hour. And I get it. You guys got to spit out all of this content and all of this stuff. And if 20 days fucked up, then there's even more content that's got to go out, and emails and promos and all of this stuff. It is crazy. But I think for teams that are stretched, the best thing to do is actually to stop, like hit the brakes on everything and go, what are the things that aren't graphic? Because I don't think video and graphic, I don't think teams are ready for that. So I would avoid that. What are the what copy, what descriptions, what email, what social copy, what production planning can we do? Where are the things that are fast that way in terms of planning, writing, thinking, and preparing? What can we signal and start using things against those workflows? Again, it's a small win strategy. You're not trying to solve everything, but what are things that if we did this, you're probably going to see, like, all of a sudden we get 15 minutes back there. All of a sudden that workflow gives someone 30 minutes back. You would be surprised how much time you get back by just taking one problem, one small thing that you could turn into an AI workflow at a time. And it's okay for every dealer out there that thinks like, man, like, I am just not even in the shallow end of the pool. Nobody is. Like, I've spent the last year walking into a million rooms in a million different cities, waiting for the audience to be markedly different with how much you're using it, and no one is yet. We are all in the same part of the pool. Everyone is still figuring a lot of things out, even though on social media there's people flapping their yaps otherwise. No, everyone's trying to figure out how to get things into a process as a group, and I think it's super lovely, and I think that should be the goal for this year. Literacy and alignment are huge, and don't get caught up listening to what somebody's barking about on social media and how the fucking sky's falling if you don't pick up this stuff tomorrow. It's not true. Just start building on small blocks over and over again.
Love it. Love it. I'm glad you
Okay.
touched on images because that's what our next question's about. So let me know how comfortable you feel answering part two of this. There's two parts. So
Yeah.
part one, our dealership always struggles with image generation from AI tools.
Yeah.
We've all been there. We've seen those gems for sure.
Yeah.
How do we successfully use tools to help us for social media, poster generation, etc.? And then part two of this, Brent, might be one you want to answer on a LinkedIn, is just
Yeah.
asking if you could clarify copyright concerns related to using AI generated content.
Okay. I can handle both. There's two up there. There's cost and then Janelle. So Janelle first. Our dealership always struggles with image generation from AI tools. You know why? Because you're not prompting it properly. Like, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna say it out loud. Um, and I was talking, and I'll give it to you as a story. Um, there is a group in Canada, and their graphics lead, and I were talking last week, and the higher ups are like, we're going to use this for all the generated stuff. for any of the graphic people in this room on this call right now, remember how you learned Photoshop or Creative Suite, all the different things in the onset of digital tools. You sat around in the bullpen of the art department and you're like, how did you use that filter? How did you do that? With the generation, like with generated images and videos, you can do it. Like you can really do beautiful stuff. Like Rory Flynn and Drew Buckner, like all these different people are putting out this amazing stuff. But they are creative directors and art directors that are spending gobs of time writing humongous prompts, hundreds and hundreds of words and different like the style guides and the style things for the different platforms. Like Midjourney's got its whole style record, and now you got Weeby who's doing their stuff, and you got Nano Banana. Like it's crazy. And if you want to dive in, if you're an art director, if you're a graphic designer, creative director, you already know that you got to put in a lot of time. And I will say this: so Chrissy Kremers is in Holland, in Amsterdam. She has an agency. She's an art director. Started a AI agency. This funny play on words, but she built and she posted this Porsche commercial that she built with AI tools. So Janelle, you got to hear me on this one. She built she built a Porsche ad using the AI tools. It took 3 senior art directors and 3 weeks in major budget to do it the right way. 3 art directors, 3 weeks to do it the right way. Just doing all those clips and putting them all together. Like they're all there. Honestly, I don't think that because as a dealership, you have so much good stuff in your ad hubs, use that stuff, but then think about how to be smart with Nano Banana with changing backgrounds. Maybe you're using like the stock images, use Nano Banana for different editing. Do it for lifestyle stuff. I would stay away from the vehicles, but if you really want to dig in more, follow Rory Flynn on for my graphics people, Janelle. Go follow Rory Flynn on LinkedIn. He has got a link on his LinkedIn profile that takes you to a bunch of tutorial stuff that he sells for like $5 a book. It's super cheap, but go look at how deep and how big that is because you can't shitty prompt for good images. You'll never get there. And even Nano Banana is really cool. But if everyone goes into Nano Banana on Gemini right now and goes, do me a VW bug, it's going to give you kind of a templated output. It's in Europe, it's on a cobblestone road. Like I've done this in multiple workshops where I think some of this stuff is spitting out its own stock imaging. So graphics and video are fucking hugely nuanced. So, but hit me up. Okay.
All
But
right.
cost says one, would it be beneficial to start a new account to train the LLM specifically to our role? I would. If you have ChatGPT, you can go into the memory section and actually blow things out. And again, get with me afterwards. There's ways to blow it out, but if you're going to start fresh, because we all have our own personal accounts, at a store, I would get like an enterprise account, get people on it, get a pro account, the business account, and add people there and only do business stuff because it's going to pull everything. If you don't have memory turned off on your accounts, it's going to pull every single thing. It's going to go through all of your memory and look for all the things. And you can tell it what to look for and what not to look for. But again, you've got to get your chops up and start prompting bigger to go, I don't want you to look at this. I only want you to look at these memories and this content we've talked about. But if you're starting new and you have staff with their own accounts, get everything into a business account or an enterprise account, or because that way too, you're going to get a bit more security around some of the synthesis you may want to do down the road for data and other shit.
All right. Okay, actually, we've got a few more questions. They're all kind of
Okay.
related to the same kind of thing. So let me see if I can just do these all in one. Okay, so basically, every vendor says their AI tools are the best or proprietary. I know you mentioned you're working on something, and I think you
Yeah.
sparked everyone's interest because maybe if you could give us like maybe one question that they should ask or that's worthwhile asking,
Yeah.
that might be
Yeah.
helpful.
Can you generate all of your iOS compliance documentation for data security?
All right. Does that answer your question,
There you
everyone?
go. I've got even harder ones. If you come out of the gates, so the vendors that are on this call, bless your hearts if you go out and tell someone you've got proprietary AI. So what that means to me is that you've built something by yourself. You have a data center that runs on all this energy that's really expensive. You've got a big data center in the middle of the desert somewhere with all these servers in it that's just your AI that you've built, that you power, that you run every day, that's absolutely yours. It has all of this security and all of this compliance. The documentation behind any vendor that says we have proprietary AI is that's a gamble, man, because I've shown more dealers how to just put a prompt in place to go, okay, if that's what they're saying, here's the list of documentation, legal and security that they must produce if they have a proprietary piece of AI. So for you vendors that are listening to this and you get back to your own tables, maybe just say it's powered by AI, because if Anthropic's running it, it's not yours. If OpenAI is running it, it's not yours. Nothing wrong with that. I'd rather run off Anthropic than build my own because they built all this shit. I don't have to build it. I'm gonna license into Anthropic. I'm gonna license into Microsoft. So don't tell like so anyone if anyone here has heard a vendor come to them and say we have proprietary AI, you message me on LinkedIn and I'll send you my prompt because I think that's a dangerous thing. I think it's done. I know of I know of two personally in the industry that have proprietary builds. Two I know of, and both of them can produce all the documentation around it. So
So
just so if someone's asking that, you write a prompt, go, that's great. Let's set it like give yourself breathing room with that vendor to go, that's great. Let's set up something 10 days from now. And then you can go away and start doing some prompting and start doing some looking, get your questions together, get all that together. Because when you come back to the table, they're going to want to sell you on something and you've got 30 questions that they need to go to, especially if they're saying proprietary, because you have a lot of PII that's really sensitive. You have a lot of business that's really sensitive. So don't get caught up in don't get caught up in just taking someone's word for it because the people that are selling it aren't the CTOs, right? If the people that are selling it are not the people who built it. So don't take their word for it.
that's a good point because now the next question coming in is about security. So, does the business account keep accounting or database information secure? I mean, this goes back to, just proper prompting and
Mm.
maybe not putting in those specific numbers or data points because once it's out there, right?
Yeah. Enterprise rule of thumb. Yeah. Does the business account keep? Yeah. So Lynn, rule of thumb, Lynn, is to go to an enterprise level. An enterprise level of any of these systems is going to give you something a little bit better. I will take the only thing I'll take out of that is Grok, just because of all the gross bullshit that's happened with them. But business is pretty strong. You will be able to get into like Anthropic's, Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, Copilot. If you go into a business level, they have documentation about what is secure and how secure things are in the business. So if you go to business or further, absolutely you're going to get better stuff. Enterprise if you look at the enterprise versions of a ChatGPT or some of the other ones, the cleansing that they do is major, right? So if you're gonna get in there and really start putting up PII, I'd go to enterprise and just start setting that up. But you're all fluid businesses with very um, with lots of information flowing in and out. So I don't know why wouldn't you start an enterprise, start small, get a few people into it. I will say this on the Google side of things. You can move up inside Google Workspace. So if you're a workspace organization and you've already got that set up, then you've got access to things like Notebook LM. You've got access to your Gemini and things like that under Workspace. And Google Workspace has been around for so long. Their iOS compliances, their SOC 2 compliances, all that good stuff has been in place for them. So Gemini and Notebook LM on the Google stuff, on Google Workspace, you got to be a workspace. You got a pro or a higher. But even the Google stuff, the Google Pro stuff is really locked down. You can go higher. So start a new account. I will give you all this tip. Um, a cool thing to play with is Notebook LM. And people use it for stupid podcasts and stupid videos. But the cool thing about Notebook is when you bring your resources into Notebook LM, and again, if you don't understand what it is, ping me, I'll show you some stuff. Notebook LM, you fill it with the resources that you want it to synthesize. Once it's in Notebook LM, it doesn't go to the cloud and it doesn't go out to the internet to pull any other information. It builds a model around the information you stuff into Notebook LM. So if you've got a Google Workspace account, you're on a Pro or an Enterprise, that's actually Notebook LM is a great place to actually quietly and securely work on sensitive data right now. But I would go up and really dig through Lynn, dig through the documentation that makes you feel comfortable with what you want to put on. And you can do PII, but the work you need to do is what I always say to groups is take out the names in the emails and throw up everything else. If you got customer 1 through 100 with what they spent, what their lease is, what's that, like as long as the PII is out, you can still synthesize data. Take 5 minutes and make a copy and anonymize it all.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for spending some time with us this afternoon and joining us for another S Media Dealer webinar series. We will be hosting another one again soon, so stay tuned for more information on that.
With less swears.
We will also be, well, it depends who we have presenting, right?
Yeah,
We
true.
will also be sending out the presentation as well as uploading this webinar onto our website shortly after. We are hoping that you will share this with your teams and start thinking of AI as your newest employee. Think of it also as an efficiency partner rather than a new software engine or tool. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to learning with you again soon. Take care, everyone, and Happy New Year.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.